In the previous episode, we got a bunch of different weapon upgrades to try to prepare for the Devourer of Gods, and in today's episode, we're going to try to kill him. So this episode might either be really long or really short. Kind of depends on how I end up doing this, because I might just go full on just quiet mode and focus in and do like 30 or 40 attempts back to back to back to back. So we'll see how that goes. I picked up the Mirror Blade as I said I was going to, so I killed Ceaseless Void. It was like 6 different times. It just would not drop. It was dropping the summon item like over and over and over again, and now we finally got it. So happy about that. Let's see here. We got an insane amount of money. I've got like 115 platinum because of doing that boss. Not that I didn't have a lot before, but it just made it go way up. And yeah, I'm curious to see how this weapon actually does. So the amount of contact damage an enemy does is added to this weapon's damage. So I basically just have to hit the boss, right? And then get that contact damage, which is going to be huge for this particular boss. So I'm hoping this works. I'm using the Hide of Astrum Deus. I'm using the Reaper Tooth Necklace, the Badge of Bravery, lots of stuff that is just going to make our melee insane. Let's just get an attempt in. And then I'll talk about some life stuff as we push forward here. Where's the bossy boss? There you are, bossy poo. So I'm very curious how this is gonna do. Do I actually have to hit the head? There we go. Wow, it did so much contact damage. What is the weapon's damage at? Not stupidly high. All right, let's see what we can do if we get the boss actually like coming at us here. Nope. I mean, it wasn't doing bad damage when it did damage, but I think that might be slightly too gimmicky for our attempts on this boss fight. Let's swap this back to daytime from the morning. Swap this out. I'm pretty happy with the Reaper Tooth Necklace, so I may just keep that on, but I've got some other accessories we could swap out to, like the Warbanner of the Sun. I forgot that also would have worked really well with that particular build, but again, I'm not sure that's our weapon here. So we're either going to do the Soul Edge or Death's Ascensions. Summon the boss again. So a little bit of life stuff, interesting life stuff, one might say. We in Florida are about to get, at least in my area, which is like in the Jacksonville area, are about to get a night where it's going to get below freezing, so 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is kind of crappy. I mean, for a lot of people in the north, they're just like, whatever, like that's nothing. We've been at like that every day, all day. Yeah, I get that. And I grew up in a ski resort where we would frequently get anywhere between like 6 to 8 feet of snow throughout a week, right? It was great. And we had no school and whatnot because of all the snow, and it was great. However, what just hit me? Beam hit me, apparently. However, even though I've grown up in the snow, I'm very well adapted to the snow. You know what's not? A tropical environment. And so we have this situation coming tonight where it's going to be kind of rough. It's going to be kind of rough. Wow, he does so much damage. He almost one-shots me when he hits me like that. And it's going to be rough because like the palm trees and whatnot, they don't like it. They hate the cold. So any fledgling tropical plant and whatnot, they'll die. They will straight up die. So like people will go out in their yards and they get big blankets, and they cover all of like their smaller plants and stuff that just can't handle the cold. So it's like a straight up ecological disaster when it reaches freezing in Florida. So yeah, that's our current life. It's been one of those long days where I've just been working. Lots of work. Been fun though. Getting to do fun work, but still fairly stressful, all things considered. And now I think I'm just going to focus in and see how far we can get this boss down. Oi. That was the first time. I was going to say second time, but I'm messing up my words there. This is the first time I've gotten into the second phase. That's tough, man. This boss is tough. It always has been, but I feel like of all of the bosses that I've done thus far with Melee and Calamity, this is the one that I'm like, yeah, it's so far is definitely the toughest that I've done on any class. I think this was actually really fun on Rogue because of my wonky build that I used that was hilarious. But when it comes to Summoner and Mage, I felt like it was also pretty easy, although the Mage was a while ago. It was a long time ago in the grand scheme of updates and everything. So like the Summoner though felt like a lot easier than it was for this. So just gonna keep trying, gonna keep learning how to dodge and just getting better. Ah, damn it. I think I'm going to leave that one in, but that kind of gives you an idea of my struggles. So what do I need to get better at? I need to get better at dodging some of the projectiles. I'm okay. I'm like 50-50. That was probably my worst attempt at projectiles this time. That's just not saying too much, but it's, you know, if that was my worst at projectiles, it's not that bad, but I do need to get better at dodging them and obviously dodging the head because he just annihilates your face. I think what I do is I go through my accessories here and I try to figure out what to replace with some of the more generic ones. So there are like generic, not generic, how about classless? I think that's a better way to put it. Accessories where they're not specific to any of the different classes. So I got to find a couple of those, maybe a defensive one, and try it out. Just kind of organize these out and see what they do. I really like what we've been running just now. And I tried Old Duke's Scales. Actually, I really liked it for the velocity, but I can't keep it up. I can't stand still long enough at any given point to regenerate the stuff, so that way when the boss comes back around, I'm not immediately exhausting the scales and just like having to go really slow. So it's a give and take on that one. I think if I got really good at the movement, this might be the best one instead of the Ascendant Insignia, and that's because he has these like phases that he does. He like alternates between them. One of them, he kind of acts like the worms during the solar pillar, where he just kind of flies around and kind of ignores you a little bit until you start flying, and then he comes right at you. So that's like phase one. It lasts for like, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds. And then it goes to a different one where it puts a debuff on you that reduces your flight time and everything. And that's when he starts just charging right at your face, and he just alternates between those. So if I had like Old Duke Scales, I could dodge throughout the entire fight if I do it right. But with the Ascendant Insignia, the wing flight time doesn't really matter too much on that extra 15-second like phase thing, because it's just the extra 30%. It's when I'm reduced by like 50% or whatever the heck it is, it just doesn't really work. So I'm kind of half and half on that one. I don't think I'm really actually using the Ascendant Insignia, so I've been trying to like swap it out for some of the other accessories. If you have any suggestions for what accessory to put in there, let me know. Like, I think the evolution might be pretty good. It gives me life per second, and then also will help reflect those projectiles. So that's also something I could try. But there's plenty of accessories, so I'm gonna go try to get a few of those and try this boss again. But this is definitely gonna be our brick wall that we hit. I don't think Yaron is gonna be nearly as hard. I'm fairly good with that boss, though we are playing melee, and that's gonna change things a bit. Exomex and Calamitous, we all know they're a tough bunch, but I have a feeling we're still gonna be able to get them down. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on here, but I'm liking the boss. I just feel like it's going to be one of those where I sit down for an hour and just completely quiet, attempt after attempt after attempt, get the boss dead, and then come back and be like, hey, here's the footage, which we start doing at the end of Calamity fairly regularly during these series, like during the last like 4 or 5 bosses. Here's another thought too. If I ever did, this is a question for you guys. You can leave me the answer that you think is best suitable for this. If I ever did Infernum, which is a boss is a boss mode where you're just gonna have to like do bosses over and over again until you meet the pattern, and then you defeat the boss. And I just did that kind of series as like a quiet series where I'm doing my normal stuff, where I'm going and picking stuff up, but when I'm working on a boss, it's one of those I don't really talk during it like I do for most like end game bosses here, and I work on it for hours at a time, and then I finally get it dead, and then I come back with that footage being like, okay, here's what I did. You can see the footage and kind of talk over it, or kind of what I do now where I record, and then if I get to the end of the boss, you have just the reaction. So you get quiet. You're either going to get commentary over the boss post-production, or you're going to get quiet boss but live reactions afterwards. It's I guess I could do both, but that would be, I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think would work better for like an Infernum playthrough. That's obviously not going to affect this playthrough any.